Please be seated. So I am a New Englander. I'm going to give you a little bio here to start off. I grew up here in New England, always have lived in New England, and back in the late 60s, I was a great fan of the Bruins. I was only about 7 or 8 years old, but Bobby Orr was the thing. And growing up here in New England, if you liked hockey, you were a Bruins fan. The Bruins are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, Game 4 tomorrow night. And it'd be great if, they continue their heading, toward the cup. Also, growing up here, I was born to parents who were a little left-leaning. So when I grew up, I was sort of left-leaning. And we drove a Ford, not a Chevy. And if there was any soda being consumed, it was Coke, not Pepsi. And I look back and I realize that we're all to some extent a product of our environment, especially if you don't ever stop to or have reason to pause and run into a little friction. We have rivalries, there are feuds, there are all sorts of ways in which we take a stand, and there's a lot of drama involved in that as well. And we sort of like the drama because if you don't have that other, the New York Rangers, and you're a Bruins fan, it doesn't give you something to sort of sharpen your sword on. You know you're somebody because you're not them. And so there's a lot of good feeling about having your team or your tribe or your clan and identifying with that until you have reason to feel oppressed or not in keeping, in sync with your tribe. Take all of what I've said and magnify it by about 1,000. And you might just have a sense of what it must be like to be either from Israel right now or from Palestine. And we have lived as long as we've been on this planet, all of us, aware of that feud and how truly impossible it seems to me to get that resolved. And how easy it is to get pulled into it. And there are college students all over the country who are getting pulled into it, either because they may be Jewish or Palestinian, or they have friends who are one or the other, or they have studied the matter and believe that this is the fair side and that's the unfair side, and it pulls you in. And if you are, a good McLeod versus McDonald's, or a Hatfield versus the McCoy, or a Save Our Dam versus Free Our River, if you're on one of those and you're feeling like I need to just back off, you want to do so in a way that doesn't show disloyalty to your tribe. And that's hard. And when you are at the level, I dare say, of the Israel and Palestine, truly, we're talking existential, that either one of those tribe members, were they to depart from their tribe, not only leaving the tribe, who would I be? It so fully defines who they are that just stepping away in order maybe to throw an olive branch to the other side, that would be almost impossible to do. There's another impossibility. Right. So, that in itself, if you did that, probably your tribe would say, "You're dead to me. You're gone. You're beyond the pale." So in that sense, there's a sense of fear that is existential, because if you are not of your tribe, who are you? Who are you? And even more intensely, especially in that feud, there's a real visceral concern about being wiped off the planet, off the face of the earth. So it is existential to the T, that they actually fear death if they are not doing all they can to support their tribe. So it seems, when I think about any of those rivalries, those feuds, and where is any possible resolution to that, I hear Jesus say, not I am Jewish, or I am a Judean. We talk about Jesus from Nazareth, but that's describing him. I don't think and I should probably have exhaustively studied all the synoptics and John, but if he says anything generally, and it rings in my ears, is I am the good shepherd, or I am the narrow gate, or I am the bread of life. And this morning it's I am the vine. And all of those, it seems to me, when I put them together in my head, are invitations to all of us to step out of that world in which we are a product of our environment. And I dare say, by being a product of our environment, we become something that we're not, we become something we weren't originally. And Jesus, in a way, I love this expression, is trying to show us a truer story, a truer self about who we are than the one we've come to believe. Hey, I'm a Bruins fan, and I grew up in New England, and I'm Yankee, and I'm thrifty, and I'm tighter than bark on a tree. I love that expression. So Jesus is saying, I'm the vine, and if you abide in me, I love the prologue to John, that Jesus was born not of this world, not of the flesh, not of the will of man, but of God. And that is profound in saying that before we came in and I became a New Englander, and whatever you are, whatever your tribe, your clan is, before all of that, we were born of God, and we still are, but we've sort of missed that. And so there's this incredible, redeeming, liberating invitation from Jesus to say, come on to the vine, branches, come on, and feel a sense of identity and life that is real and is separate, different from this identity you've taken on. And you know, if you've made the shift and maybe woken up to, yeah, that's right, I am grafted onto God and onto that reality, that love, prior to this. And when I'm there, this is the great, moment, I don't feel any fear. When you're a clan member, you can get bounced anytime. And so you're always, am I doing the right thing? I don't want to be disloyal. And any identity we make of ourselves in this world always leaves us on guard. You come to the lector and you start singing, I'm just making this up, but and you're reading a lesson, and here we are, and you don't want to make a mistake, right? Because, well, people will probably forgive you, it's a church, but nevertheless, you're getting, where's the fear, right? We'd rather die than have to do public speaking. Why? Because if we mess up, will we get voted off the island? So we're always being somewhat guided, whether we recognize it or not, as a kind of a churning in our bones, like, am I going to be okay with my tribe? If you are grafted onto the vine, that doesn't entirely go away, but you're now centered in something that is forever loving, forever sustaining. And wow, what a gift, right? To say, yeah, I will always be a fan of the Bruins, but I'm infinitely more than that. And my existential fear of dying, of what would happen to me if I separated from my tribe is gone, because if I make that step and arrive where I began originally, abiding in love, abiding in God, there's no fear. Not even fear of death. Because really, what is our fear of death except maybe getting voted off the island? All the forms of death that we worry about has to do with this clan membership, this way in which I identify with this world. Wonderful as it is, if that's all you see, you will always be motivated by fear. So if we get grafted onto the vine, settle into that, it's not only are we asked to bear good fruit, but we have the privilege of bearing good fruit. And the form it takes is when you are one day, almost daily, confronted by someone who is wanting that dam down versus saving the river, and instead of engaging at that level, We are asked to see the deeper person there, the person who has far more in common with me by both of us, abiding in this love. And if that person isn't in that space at that moment, but you are, and without fear, you see them at that deeper level, that's bearing good fruit, because chances are there's a very good chance that you are going to liberate them. And instead of them about to kind of go at you, they'll go, oh, sorry, somehow I thought you were the enemy, but I recognize you, even though you hold this different opinion or this different political party, I recognize you as one who abides in love. And maybe looking at someone in that way is just the thing they need to be freed and to be brought back to who they are. So if the Bruins lose, I'll probably shift to the Rangers. The Rangers are doing rather well. When I was playing hockey at that level, I remember listening to the games on the radio, and it might have been the Bruins against the Rangers, and they suddenly said, and Brad Park, slapped in one, and I went, what? Did they just use my name? And of course, Brad Park played for the Rangers, but I thought, hey, now there's some kind of a sign, and not only am I going to keep at this playing ice hockey, but I'm going to be a defenseman, because Brad Park was a great defenseman. So I'll probably vote for the Rangers, or shift my allegiance, and I don't think, once the Bruins have been eliminated, which I hope they won't be, then it's safe, right? My clan won't, yell at me for. And maybe I'll vote Republican at some point. Or I might buy a Chevy instead of one of those Ford Broncos that I've been looking at. But whatever I do, and I hope whatever you do when you go through your life, you'll know you're doing the right thing if it's not from a place of fear. But if you're abiding in love, you'll be clear, and you'll be lucid, and you'll be present. And whatever decision you make, you'll be able to live with it. And my guess is it's going to have a beautiful ripple effect.